You're standing there at your own engagement party when suddenly an X-rated video starts playing on the big screen. At first, the guests thought you were just being wild and pulling some kind of stunt, but then they took a closer look, and the realization hit them like a freight train. The woman in the video was none other than the bride-to-be herself, Liu Ruyan. But the guy, it definitely wasn't you. While the entire room was frozen in shock, everyone suddenly realized the bride hadn't even shown up yet. Under the confused, whispering gazes of all your friends and family, you gripped the microphone in one hand and pulled out your phone with the other to call her. She didn't pick up the first time. You didn't give up, you dialed again. After a few rings, she finally answered. Through the speaker, everyone could clearly hear the sound of traffic and honking. The guests at the venue could even hear the loud roar of a car engine in the background. The crowd started buzzing with rumors. Why is Liu Ruyan out driving? Could the heiress of the Liu family really be trying to run away from her own engagement? You kept your voice cold and steady. Where are you? Why did you leave? Liu Ruyan sounded completely annoyed. I have something important to take care of. We can just reschedule the ceremony for later. You pressed her. What could possibly be more important than our engagement party? Liu Ruyan's voice turned sharp, filled with anger and pure impatience. I said we'll do it later. I'm driving right now. I'm hanging up. You roared into the phone, losing all composure. You think you can just reschedule whenever you feel like it? What do you take this venue and all the guests who traveled miles to be here for? And what do you take my family for? I spent 6 months planning every detail of this party. And you think we'll do it later is enough to settle this? In a final desperate move, you threw your pride to the wind and shouted, if we redo this later, am I even still the groom? As soon as those words left your lips, the entire room went dead silent. So will I still be the groom if we have to redo the wedding? As soon as those words left his lips, the entire room went deathly silent. Even Liu Ruyan was caught off guard. She couldn't help but wonder if this was really the same old pushover she used to know. Silent, so now you're silent. What are you rambling about? Are you trying to call off our engagement? I'm afraid I'm not the one who wants to call it off. I've already told you. I have to rush to the hospital. There's someone there waiting for me to save their life. You let out a cold laugh. Are you a doctor? You think just because you show up you can save them? Tell me then, who exactly is lying in that hospital bed? Are they on the verge of death? Is it so critical that not a single second can be spared? You really had to walk out on our engagement ceremony and cause such a scene. Even the Liu family was left baffled. At such a crucial moment, who could possibly have such pull? Someone who could make the notoriously cold and distant Miss Liu drop everything right now and drive to the hospital herself. Then, in a chilling tone, Liu Ruyan replied, my assistant Ye Fan. The moment those two words were spoken, crowd erupted. Isn't Ye Fan just Liu's assistant? She hired him personally right after he graduated. They say this Ye Fan is as handsome as a movie star, and he's closer to the Liu family heiress than anyone else. They're practically like best friends. Since when do high society families have male best friends? Seeing the whispers spreading through the room, the Liu family matriarch Liu Huichin couldn't sit still any longer. She sent someone to go up and snatch your phone. Unfortunately, you had already planned for this. You had spent $10 to hire 200 local tough guys to guard the area layer by layer. You continued asking, what happened to him this time? Is it just a cold and a fever again, or did he get bumped by a bicycle? I've always been suspicious of the relationship between you two. Who's actually running the show at the Liu family company? If he's really just a lowly assistant, how is it that you, the heiress of the Liu family, would abandon your fiancé just to go wait on him hand and foot silent? Can you stop with the sarcastic remarks? He is not only my assistant, but also my friend. If you don't respect him, you don't respect me. When your heart skips a beat. That's right. Do you even know the consequences of disrespecting this assistant? Your family destroyed your home in ruins. You'll end up dead right where you stand. It was all because of Ye Fan that you ended up dying so young in your past life. Now that you've been reborn, you're going to make sure that pair of scumbags ends up totally disgraced step by step. Their names will be cursed for generations to come. Making them famous is just the first step of the plan. At this point, you continue saying, it seems this friend of yours is even more important than your own fiancé. Since that's the case, you'd better make a choice. Me or Ye Fan? Who do you choose? Liu Ruyan never expected you to actually say those words, pushing him into such a corner. In his heart, he and Ye Fan are like brothers. How could you have such a filthy, twisted view of their friendship? Answer me. Who do you choose? You continue to press him relentlessly. Liu Ruyan weighs the two in his heart. He realizes Ye Fan seems to understand him better, always doing things to please him. He blurts out, Ye Fan. As soon as he says it, he hangs up the phone in a panic. He speeds off toward the hospital as fast as he can. But the moment the words left his lips, he felt a strange, sudden ache in his heart, as if someone of vital importance had just been torn away from him. Meanwhile, all the relatives and friends present, after hearing his choice with their own ears, not a single person would speak up for him anymore. The image of the cool and elegant goddess was shattered into pieces. The old matriarch feels a sense of shame she has never known before. She hates that Liu Ruyan was so weak and spineless, but she blames you even more for being so ruthless, making such a scene and blowing things out of proportion in front of so many people. Immediately, she summons one of the Liu family servants standing nearby. You go and drag that unfilial daughter back here. Right now, immediately. As for that Ye fan, if he's dead, then good riddance. But if he's still breathing, make sure he gets hit again and finishes the job this time. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan had already arrived at the hospital. Dressed in a pristine, pure white wedding gown, she sprinted through the hospital corridors. Nobody in that hospital had ever seen a bride in full wedding attire before. Everyone was whispering, wondering what on earth was going on. A few of the more sentimental, love-struck girls had already started imagining a tragic car accident. This beauty's boyfriend must be critically ill. He's probably terminally ill. I doubt he'll even make it through the night. That's why his girlfriend put on her wedding dress to say her final goodbye. Lost in these thoughts, some girls couldn't wait to whip out their phones and start snapping pictures. They posted it all online immediately. In my past life, that online public opinion spiraled out of control. Once the identities of those involved were leaked, you were branded a cuckold for the rest of your life. After Liu Ruyan ran away from our wedding in that previous life, the Liu family punished her severely for it. They even planned to take care of Ye Fan once and for all. But Ruyan held them off, threatening to kill herself just to keep him alive. And you were such a total simp, you just chose to forgive her. Your love. The internet trolls painted you as some spoiled, arrogant brat. A guy who steals someone else's girl, using his family's influence to bully the Liu family, and forcing them to give up their daughter. In their eyes, you were the one who tore Ruyan and Ye Fan apart. Meanwhile, Ye Fan was living the life of a typical protagonist, stubbornly surviving against all odds. Even though he was bitter about the whole situation, he still loved her deeply, and stayed right by her side the whole time. To the rest of the world, you were nothing but the ultimate heartless villain. Liu Ruyan knew everything that was happening, yet she never once stood up to explain things for you. She only cared about protecting Ye Fan's reputation. You simply didn't exist in her eyes. The wedding banquet hall is dead silent. You hold the microphone tightly and speak to the crowd with a heavy, deliberate tone. Since the eldest miss of the Liu family has already made her choice, then I shall be the one to step aside and grant their wish. Liu Huiqin has no idea what you're planning to say, but a sudden sharp sense of unease washes over her. She is desperate to stop you from saying another word. Dragging her frail, aged body, she rushes to the edge of the stage, pleading. Stop this, she urges. Whatever the issue is, let's just go home and talk about it privately behind closed doors. Yu Yan is young and doesn't know any better. She lost her composure, but we will make sure to discipline her. Come down here and give me that microphone. You look down at Liu Huiqin, the woman you've called grandmother for so many years. Your expression softens for a brief moment lost in the past. The Chen family bloodline has always been thin. Long before you were even born, your grandparents had already passed away. By high school, your parents were also taken from you in a tragic accident. The once great Chen family estate eventually fell solely onto your shoulders to carry alone. Back then, it was the Liu family who showered you with care and warmth. Yet their kindness was always a calculated trap, with a hidden agenda. Their true goal was to swallow up the entire Chen family fortune. But now that you've been reborn, you will never let that nightmare happen again. Madam Liu, you say coldly. Your surname is Liu and mine is Chen. Where exactly does this family talk come from? Since your granddaughter has already made her choice, the one she's choosing to marry isn't me, but Ye Fan. And as for me, I am speaking to you now as the head of the Chen family. Realizing that appeals to emotion are useless, Liu Huiqin stares up at you in absolute despair. You turn your gaze back to the crowd and offer a regretful smile. My apologies, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend my engagement party. I'm sorry that it turned out to be such a farce. Like I said before, I'm all about helping people get what they want. Since the eldest miss of the Liu family has already given her heart to someone else, who am I to stand in the way of true love? From this day forward, I am officially breaking off my engagement with Liu Ruyan. As soon as those words left your lips, your former father-in-law Chen Hai, fueled by some unknown surge of courage, charged straight onto the stage. He fiercely tried to stop you from canceling the wedding. I don't agree. I absolutely do not agree with this. Chen, you have no right to make this decision. Mr. Chin, on what grounds could you possibly disagree? Your daughter has already made her choice. She's off chasing after the love of her life. What exactly do you want me to do? Are you suggesting I send people to drag her back? And lock her up? Things that are immoral and illegal. The Chen family will never do. My upbringing simply doesn't allow for it. Your words were a direct slap to the face of the Liu family. You were clearly implying that the Liu family has no class, and that they raised a daughter with no shame. Sinhai's face flushed a deep crimson. He continued, Chen Ruyan definitely didn't realize that the consequence of this choice would be calling off the engagement. If she knew she would definitely come back, please just give her one more chance. Facing his desperate pleading, you offered a look of cold contempt and slowly shook your head. Mr. Chin, how do you know I didn't give her a chance? She's the one who burned her own bridges. Have you forgotten that video before the wedding started? It's obvious that your daughter and Ye Fan have already been doing things behind my back. So what use is your opposition now? Your new son-in-law is currently lying in the hospital. I think you'd be better off going there to check on him. Oh, and old lady Liu, are you still planning on having your third generation marry into the family? If that's the case, you should have said so sooner. I should make my exit while I still can. It'll save everyone from this massive misunderstanding. None of the guests present could have ever imagined that you would actually be this incredible. You showed absolute class, radiating the aura of a true king. Chin Hai was stunned. How could she ever let a son-in-law this outstanding just slip away? He was still trying to struggle to his feet, desperate to walk over to your side. The silence from the elders was deafening. That's just how these elite marriages go, isn't it? You do your thing and I'll do mine. Ruyan has been with you for so many years. You can't just play around and then refuse to pay the price. He was just confused for a moment. Just forgive him, won't you? If you marry him, you'll basically be getting half of the Liu family's assets. For the sake of your past relationship and all that wealth, let's just forget about calling off the engagement. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, is this old man's brain fried or what? Things have already gotten to this point, and he still wants you to stomach the disgust. Besides, you and Liu Ruyan are still perfectly innocent. Apart from some hugging and kissing, you haven't done anything else. You might have been cheated on once, but you are absolutely not going to let it happen a second time. My Chen family has plenty of money, and we don't need a single cent from your Liu family. And as it happens, I'd like to announce a second piece of news. Starting today, the Chen family is no longer a strategic partner of the Liu family. Once our current projects are wrapped up, we will not be signing any new contracts with you. Now, it wasn't just Chin Hai who was blindsided. Liu Huiqin was so shocked she couldn't even stand steady. With all that rage and frustration hitting her at once, Liu Huiqin collapsed straight to the floor. Quick, get the old lady to the hospital. The members of the Liu family scrambled to help her up. Once they cleared out from the venue, Chin Hai shook his head fiercely at the sight of it, and followed them out as well. You, however, stayed behind to smooth things over with the remaining guests. Late at night, after everyone had finally left, the noise and chaos finally faded away. Things in the Chen household have finally returned to normal. But beneath this calm surface, a storm is brewing. You and Shen Yuchu head back to the living room. You both sip your hangover tea in complete silence. Shen Yuchu is like a late autumn rose. Even though she doesn't try to stand out, she still radiates an irresistible charm. If Liu Ruyan is like an ice-cold mountain lotus, then Shen Yuchu is more like a black rose. Shen Yuchu is 3 or 4 years older than you. Not long after the Chen family adopted her, my mother got pregnant. Even though the Chen family had you, they never looked down on Shen Yuchu for being an adopted daughter. They still raised her as if she were their own biological child. Finally, Shen Yuchu breaks the silence. Chen, are you really just going to let it go like this? After everything Liu Ruyan did to you, I honestly can't stand it. How could she betray your genuine love like that? As she speaks, Shen Yuchu starts to tear up. You can no longer keep up the act of pretending you don't care. You collapse into your chair, feeling completely broken. Your eyes are hollow and vacant. You feel grief, despair, helplessness, and total disbelief. A rebirth. Even now, you still can't believe Liu Ruyan would treat you this way. The humiliation of her running away from the wedding is just the tip of the iceberg. What you've endured is so much more than just what happened today. Compared to 10 years ago, when Liu Ruyan, in order to get revenge for Ye Fan, actually beat you until you became a vegetable. You console her, Yuchu, this is far from over. Liu Ruyan is only part of it. I'm going to make the Liu family pay for the choices they made. What do you think is the most important thing to a woman? Before Shen Yuchu can answer, you continue. Today I made the photos of Liu Ruyan's affair, public for everyone to see. Even though it was a double-edged sword, Liu Ruyan won't ever be able to marry into any other wealthy family for the rest of her life. The Liu family will never allow Liu Ruyan to be with Ye Fan. We won't even have to lift a finger. The Liu family will deal with those two themselves. And as for us, we only need to deal with the Liu family. I'm going to make sure the Liu family is destroyed once and for all. You grip your teacup, saying this with a vicious, venomous tone. Your eyes are flashing with pure, violent intent. You're radiating a bloodthirsty aura. Shen Yuchu has never seen you like this before. She feels like you've turned into a completely different person. Breaking the silence, she speaks. I will always support you. The Chen family will be your backup. Let's make them pay back everything 10 times over. Shen Yuchu walks over to your side. She reaches out to gently touch your forehead, just like she used to when you were kids. As you gaze at this face you've missed so dearly, you recall how in your past life after you became a vegetable, Shen Yuchu would come to take care of you every single day. She'd turn you over and massage your muscles. She did everything herself, never complaining. She would lean close to your ear, telling you about everything happening in the outside world. And at the end of every day, she would stroke your hair, You can't hold it back anymore. You stand up and pull Shen Yuchu into a tight embrace. You don't know where Liu Ruyan took Shen Yuchu in that past life, or what kind of tragic end she met. Until the moment you died, you were filled with nothing but regret for falling for Liu Ruyan, and for letting her hurt your family. You swear to yourself that the one person you must never let down again in this life is Shen Yuchu. You bury your head against Shen Yuchu's shoulder, smelling that familiar scent. This overwhelming feeling of getting back what you once lost breaks you down. You start to sob uncontrollably. Shen Yuchu freezes up in surprise at your sudden embrace. After all these years, the two of you haven't hugged like this since you were children. You have to remember you were essentially raised by Shen Yuchu. From a young age, you were always following right behind her. It wasn't until you grew up and met Liu Ruyan that you distanced yourself from Shen Yuchu because of her. Hearing your crying, Shen Yuchu thinks you're still hung up on Liu Ruyan. Her heart skips a beat. She wraps her arms around you and gently strokes the back of your head. I comforted my younger brother who was prone to tears just like I used to when we were kids. You had a good long cry, letting out all that pent-up frustration. You felt so much better afterward. You seemed a bit more alive now. Get some rest early, you said. We have a lot of things to take care of at the office tomorrow. As you finished speaking, you turned and started walking out. Where are you going? It's so late, do you really have to go out? Shen Yuchu asked. I'm heading to the wedding house. There are some things I need to get back. Those were my parents' keepsakes. I can't just leave them with Liu Ruyan, you explained. Realizing that you weren't regretting anything or trying to run back to Liu Ruyan, Shen Yuchu didn't say anything more. She arranged for someone to drive you away from the Chen estate. Once you were gone, Shen Yuchu let out a cold scoff. Liu family. It's time we settled our debts. Shen Yuchu was no mere pretty face. The fact that she was able to support the entire Chen family at 22 and keep the family standing strong all this time was more than enough proof of her capability. In your past life, if it hadn't been for your indulgence and for you stripping Shen Yuchu of her power, how could the Liu family have ever usurped the Chen family's legacy? And worse, it led to Shen Yuchu being captured by Liu Ruyan. Tianhai Pavilion was a villa complex developed by the Liu family, and the wedding house you shared with Liu Ruyan was located right there. You unlocked the door and walked straight into the villa. Looking at this room that felt both so familiar and yet so strange, a whirlwind of emotions washed over you. Sorrow welled up from deep within. In truth, you had originally planned to live in the old Chen family mansion after the wedding, but Liu Ruyan wouldn't have it. She didn't like the decor of the old house, and as luck would have it, this complex developed by the Liu family had just been completed. So Liu Ruyan insisted that you buy the wedding house here. Villa number 1, the crown jewel of Tianhai Pavilion. Back at Villa number 1, the crown jewel of the Tianhai Pavilion estate, the selling price was 150 million. And it was all because you took the lead. That real estate project, which was originally struggling, was instantly saved. All your wealthy friends started buying properties there, one after another. After all, who wouldn't want to live a little closer to the Chen family? Later, you spent another 50 million on renovations. The design style was curated entirely to Liu Ruyan's personal taste. For half a year of construction, you supervised every single step of the process. You kept telling yourself that this was, after all, the place where you two would spend the rest of your lives together. You couldn't tolerate a single flaw. Yet in the end, it was all handed over to Ye Fan for free. After you became paralyzed and trapped in a vegetative state, you were dumped back at the old Chen family estate by Liu Ruyan. And this place, she just gifted it to Ye Fan. Perhaps it was exactly because she wanted to give him your wedding home that she had to get rid of you first. You couldn't help but wonder, after you were left in that vegetative state, if the dream house you had built brick by brick with such care had turned into a love nest for Liu Ruyan and Ye Fan. Had the two of them been intimate on the very bed you meant for your wedding? That was exactly why Shen Yuchu had snapped. She had brought people to storm the place and beat Ye Fan until he was paralyzed. That act of revenge had also brought a death sentence upon Shen Yuchu. Thinking of all this, your heart felt like it was being shredded by knives. A mouthful of blood surged up and sprayed out. The bright red blood splattered onto the pristine white living room carpet, looking painfully stark and jarring. Overwhelmed by the agony, you collapsed onto the floor unconscious. Meanwhile, at the Hancheng Central Hospital, Liu Ruyan had no idea that she was about to become the center of a massive scandal in all of Hancheng. She was keeping watch by Ye Fan's hospital bed, clutching his hands tightly in hers. Looking at Ye Fan lying there on the bed, his face deathly pale, she felt an unbearable ache in her heart. Thank goodness Ye Fan was going to be okay. He only had a few scrapes and bruises, no internal injuries. But the impact had knocked him out cold, and he was still lying there unresponsive. Liu Ruyan had been keeping watch by the hospital bed for over 2 hours. She didn't even blink once. She had no idea what had gone down at the old Chen family estate, and she was even less aware that you had become a trending topic across the entire city. Though let's just say this fame wasn't exactly something to be proud of. Earlier, when she rushed into the hospital to find Ye Fan, Someone had actually filmed it and posted it online. The online chatter was still busy swooning over their so-called epic tear-jerking romance. Netizens were obsessing over Liu Ruyan's beauty, while gushing over their undying love for each other. The story went viral in the blink of an eye. The comment section was flooded with well wishes from strangers. But it didn't take long for the narrative to flip. The guests who had actually attended your engagement party knew the real truth. They took to the comments spitting fire. Ugh, give me a break. What kind of absolute garbage are you people talking about? That is not what happened at all. This woman is named Liu Ruyan. She's the eldest daughter of the Liu family in Hangzhou. And the guy in the hospital, that's just her assistant Yi Fan. Tonight was supposed to be her engagement party with the heir of the Chen family. She ditched her fiancé right there at the altar. She only showed up at the hospital in her wedding dress to be with her secret lover. He's no boyfriend, he's a homewrecker. You guys are actually sitting here blessing these two scumbags. Are you all blind? It makes me want to puke just reading this. I'm so furious I could cough up blood. That netizen laid out the whole story about you, Liu Ruyan, and everything involving Ye Fan. They posted the whole ugly truth for everyone to see. They even attached photos from the engagement party. The pictures clearly showed you standing all alone on that stage. Your handsome face was filled with nothing but heartbreak and despair. And right there on the screen behind the stage was that exact photo of Liu Ruyan in her pajamas, with Yi Fan in that room. The logic was crystal clear. The evidence was undeniable. The fact that Liu Ruyan cheated with Ye Fan was officially confirmed. The public narrative flipped in an instant. Liu Ruyan had no idea the internet was already blowing up. She had turned her phone off the moment she arrived at the hospital, because her phone had been ringing non-stop. He was worried about disturbing Ye Fan's rest. Another reason was, he didn't know how to explain things to his own family, or the Chen family for that matter, so he decided to just shut everything out and enjoy some peace and quiet. In his mind, Chen Mo's silence was just a temporary inability to accept reality. He figured that once he went back and explained everything in person, he would be able to smooth things over with Chen Mo. As long as Chen Mo wasn't angry and chose to forgive him, then his family wouldn't blame him either. When the time was right, he'd make Chen Mo give him a proper apology, and he'd make him propose all over again. Once he was in a good mood, he would forgive Chen Mo for being so pushy and aggressive today, and then he would just marry Chen Mo right then and there. He actually dared to make me choose. This time I'm going to give him the silent treatment for a whole week. I need to teach him a lesson and set some ground rules. How dare he defy me, a princess? But I suppose I'll still marry him eventually. When that happens, I'll have Ye Fan be the best man. After we're married, I'm going to have 2 kids. A boy that takes the Liu family name that's set. Yes, that's decided. He's been acting like this for all the years you've been together. No matter how far he crosses the line, as long as he stands right in front of you, you just end up forgiving him. I suppose that's the price you pay. He is the noble princess, and you are nothing but his knight in shining armor. But this time it was clear he was overthinking things. His knight was already dead, killed by his own hands. While Liu Ruyan was still lost in her fantasies, the door was suddenly kicked open. Liu Ruyan jumped in fright, and even Ye Fan lying on the bed was startled awake with a jolt. But he still didn't actually wake up. Liu Ruyan was terrified that it might be Chen Mo who had tracked her down. She was so incredibly tense that she didn't even notice Ye Fan's strange reaction. It was Qin Hai who walked in. He was accompanied by a few bodyguards. He walked into the hospital room with a very stern expression. When Liu Ruyan saw it was just Qin Hai, she immediately let out a sigh of relief. What are you doing here? Liu Ruyan asked, her tone cold and indifferent. There wasn't even a shred of respect for her father in her tone. But Qin Hai seemed used to it by now. He didn't even get angry. He just said slowly, Ruyan, your grandmother was so worked up that she fainted. She's in the room right next door. You should go check on her quickly. Hearing this from Qin Hai, Liu Ruyan immediately let go of Ye Fan's hand and stood up. How could she have fainted from anger? Why didn't you tell me sooner? What is Chen Mo even doing? He can't even handle a simple thing like this. And he actually let Grandma get so upset that she fainted. Doesn't he know he should have calmed her down first? Where is he? Did he come along? I need to have a serious talk with him. How exactly did he handle this? Liu Ruyan's beautiful face was ice cold. Her voice was filled with nothing but blame. She didn't even spare a glance for Qin Hai and walked straight out of the room to find her grandmother. She shoved all the blame onto him, never once thinking that it was her running away from the wedding at the last minute that led to all these problems. Of course, she still doesn't know that after she chose Ye Fan, you had already announced the cancellation of the engagement, and Qin Hai hadn't told her either. He just took a casual look at Ye Fan, who was lying on the hospital bed, gave a mocking laugh and said, quit the act. These little tricks of yours are things I stopped playing years ago. Ye Fan lay on the bed motionless, looking as if he were truly unconscious. Go ahead, keep playing and pretend. Qin Hai seemed to have sensed something, but he didn't call him out directly. He said to the bodyguards, the 2 of you stay here and keep an eye on him. Don't let him leave this room for even a single step. After saying that, Qin Hai turned and walked out too. And that was when Ye Fan, who was lying on the bed, felt his eyelids twitch slightly. It seemed like he wanted to open them to see what was going on outside. As he opened them, just a crack, he saw two hulking, shadowy figures. He was so spooked that he quickly went back to playing dead. Liu Ruyan arrived outside the door. Sure enough, in front of the VIP ward next door stood the bodyguards from the Liu family. With stern looks on their faces, he stepped into the room. He saw his elderly grandmother lying on the hospital bed, unconscious and unresponsive. Terrified, he burst into tears again. He hurriedly asked Wang Ma, the grandmother's personal servant, what happened to Grandma? How did it come to this? Wang Ma hesitated, wanting to say something but holding back. She had served the Liu family for over 50 years, having been by Liu Huiqin's side since they were young. She had watched Liu Ruyan grow up. She simply couldn't believe that Liu Ruyan would do something so outrageous. But now the facts were laid out right in front of her. Their young mistress had abandoned her fiancé, only to come to the hospital to see her assistant, and right in the middle of her own engagement party, no less. Wang Ma let out a heavy sigh and whispered, "Young mistress?" Master was so furious that she fainted from the stress. "She's fine, she'll wake up in a little while." Before Liu Ruyan could press for more answers, Liu Huiqin, lying on the bed, heard the voices and began to stir awake. When Wang Ma saw this, she hurried over to help the old lady sit up. Liu Ruyan followed close behind to help as well. "Grandma, are you all right? How are you feeling now? Where is Chen Mo? You fainted. Didn't he even follow you here?" Liu Ruyan didn't even mention that she had run away from her own engagement. She still had no idea that it was because of her, and her alone, that her grandmother had been angered to the point of fainting. Instead, she felt it was only natural to blame Chen Mo, acting as if he hadn't taken proper care of her. "Grandma, you're in the hospital for heaven's sake, and he didn't even bother to come with you." But Liu Huiqin shoved Liu Ruyan away and said with disgust, "Stay away from me. I have no granddaughter like you." At this point, Liu Ruyan knew that the whole thing had been exposed. Yet she still kept a nonchalant look on her face. "Grandma, what are you talking about? It's just an engagement party, right? Can't we just hold another one later to make up for it? I'll explain everything to Chen Mo. I'll call him right now and have him come over to apologize to you." Once Liu Ruyan finished speaking, she took out her phone, turned it on, and was about to call Chen Mo. But Liu Huiqin immediately stopped her. Because Liu Huiqin knew, Liu Ruyan still had no clue about what was happening outside. Chen Mo had already announced the calling off of their engagement. If Liu Ruyan kept using that tone, and rashly called him now, it would only be counterproductive and further infuriate Chen Mo. By then, there would not be any room left for reconciliation. "Don't make that call yet. Listen to what your grandmother has to say first." Liu Ruyan, of course, dared not defy her grandmother at this moment. She obediently put her phone away. "Grandma, go ahead." Liu Huiqin leaned against the hospital bed, then told Mother Wang to leave and close the door behind her. After Mother Wang left, only Liu Huixin and Liu Ruyan remained in the room. Liu Huiqin's expression shifted instantly, exploding with rage. He scolded her sternly. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you think just because I'm old and getting on in years, that I can't keep you in check? How could you do something that brings such shame to our family name? You've completely disgraced the entire Liu family." Liu Ruyan was so frightened that she stumbled back. Tears of grievance gushed out like water through a broken dam. She had no idea what had happened, or why Grandma was so furious. "Grandma, what did I do? Why are you scolding me like this? How have I ever brought shame to our family? How could you? You still have the nerve to ask me that. Tell me who is in the room next door. Who exactly is he? And what right does he have to be lying in a top-floor VIP suite?" Liu Huiqin grew angrier with every word she spat out. She was already holding back for the sake of Liu Ruyan's reputation. If it had been anyone else, she would have started screaming and cursing them out long ago. Even though Liu Ruyan and Chen Mo weren't married yet, the two of them had been betrothed for a long time. What Liu Ruyan was doing now was nothing short of being unfaithful. Back in Liu Huiqin's day, a woman like that would have been thrown into a pig cage and drowned in the river. Liu Ruyan was completely stunned by the question. She had never mentioned Ye Fan's existence to anyone in the family. Aside from Chen Mo, everyone else only knew Ye Fan as her assistant. Liu Ruyan felt like she had been betrayed. She asked hurriedly, "Grandma, how did you know Ye Fan was here? Did Chen Mo tell you? How could he be like this? I already made it clear to him. There's nothing going on between me and Ye Fan. Ye Fan is just my assistant. He's being way too narrow-minded." Liu Huiqin scoffed. "Just an assistant? What kind of assistant? Makes you walk out halfway through your own engagement banquet. And since when does an assistant get hospitalized? And have the company president stay there to keep them company? Is this really just a boss and assistant relationship? Who would believe that if you told them? Do you think everyone else is a fool?" Facing Liu Huixin's relentless interrogation, Liu Ruyan was at a complete loss. She didn't know how to explain her relationship with Ye Fan to her grandmother, but she was certain it absolutely wasn't about romance. For her, what she felt for Ye Fan was more like family, a bond of affection without any blood relation. But if she said that out loud, would Grandma even believe her? Right now, the only person who could solve this problem was Chen Mo. If only he would step up and explain things on her behalf, then Grandma would believe her. He tried to call Chen Mo again, wanting him to come over. Seeing this, Liu Huiqin didn't stop her this time. She just said indifferently, "Don't waste your energy, dear. I'd bet Chen Mo isn't going to pick up your call right now. Liu Ruyan refused to believe it. She dialed his number directly, but Chen Mo really didn't pick up. In the past, this would have been absolutely impossible. Whenever she called him, he would always answer within 3 seconds. But today, Liu Ruyan called 3 times in a row, and there was absolutely no response from his end. Oh, my poor granddaughter. I'll be honest with you. Liu Huiqin sighed deeply, full of emotion. She told Liu Ruyan everything that had happened after she left, from the moment he called her, to giving her an ultimatum to make a choice, and finally announcing that he was breaking off their engagement. She only left out the part about the photos of Liu Ruyan and Ye Fan at the hotel, but even just that was already more than Liu Ruyan could handle. Hearing that Chen Mo had announced the breakup in front of everyone, Liu Ruyan was completely stunned. She had an expression of total disbelief. How is that possible? He loves me so much. How could he just cancel our engagement? No, I have to go find him. I need to ask him what he thinks he's doing. How dare he do something like this to me? Having said that, Liu Ruyan turned to rush out the door. Come back. What good will it do for you to go there now? Liu Huiqin looked at her granddaughter. She couldn't even tell right from wrong anymore. She finally realized how much she had failed in raising her. The one at fault for this whole situation was Liu Ruyan, and this time Chen Mo simply refused to coddle her anymore. Now be honest with Grandma. What exactly is your relationship with that boy next door? How far has things actually gone between you two? Liu Ruyan was caught off guard by her grandmother's question. Her eyes flickered with hesitation. She paused for a moment and said, Grandma, what are you talking about? How could there be anything between Ye Fan and me? You have to believe me. We're really just colleagues, or I mean friends. Don't listen to Chen Mo's nonsense. When I said I chose Ye Fan over the phone, I just meant that I was coming to the hospital. It didn't mean that between Ye Fan and Chen Mo, that I chose Ye Fan. How could I ever give up on Chen Mo? That's just impossible. To be fair, Liu Ruyan was actually telling the truth about that part. At the time, she was mostly just triggered by how aggressive you were being. She blurted out that she chose Ye Fan without even thinking. Looking back, she realized how wrong that sounded. It was clear that Chen Mo was digging a trap for her, and he lured Liu Ruyan right into it. But Liu Huiqin didn't buy a single word of Liu Ruyan's excuses. She knew Liu Ruyan wasn't being honest. Liu Huiqin was beyond disappointed. Even now at this point, Liu Ruyan was still trying to talk her way out of it. Her chest tightened with pain from all the anger. Liu Ruyan, are you still going to lie to me at a time like this? I don't even believe your explanation. And all the guests here, they're certainly not going to believe you either. You have to realize, the guests here tonight are all prominent, high-profile figures. Many of them are our family's business partners. We have deep financial ties. If news gets out that you've been cheating, do you have any idea how much damage that will cause to our Liu family? Liu Ruyan stared back, completely baffled. She asked in shock, cheating? What cheating? Who on earth told you I was cheating? Liu Huiqin didn't bother to explain. She just pulled out her phone and sent the photos of her and Ye Fan straight to her. Liu Ruyan opened the photo and took a look. Her eyes went wide with pure terror. Where did you get these? Who even took these pictures? It doesn't matter where I got them. Let me tell you something. Regardless of whether anything actually happened between you two, that Ye Fan is a dead man. If the Chen family doesn't take him out, the Liu family won't let him live either. He is the biggest stain on your entire life. Liu Ruyan was still reeling from the shock of the photos when she heard Liu Huiqin declare that she was going to kill Ye Fan. She rushed to stop her, crying out, No! You can't touch him. I won't allow it. If you want to kill him, you'll have to kill me first. Liu Huiqin collapsed back onto the bed, so furious she couldn't even speak. Liu Ruyan didn't pay any mind to her grandmother's reaction. She was desperate to figure out what exactly was going on with these photos. I remember now. This was from that business trip with Ye Fan last week. That night, he only came to my room because of some work matters. We were just in there discussing company business. And then he accidentally spilled coffee on me, which is why I had to change my clothes. You have to believe me. I was raised by you personally. How could I ever do something like that? Hearing Liu Ruyan say this, Liu Huiqin was still filled with doubt. These photos, even though they didn't show what happened inside the room, showed a man and a woman alone together in the middle of the night. And to top it off, Liu Ruyan was wearing a robe when she walked Ye Fan to the door. No matter how you look at it, it just screams that something inappropriate was going on. Liu Ruyan's explanation just didn't hold any water. Seeing that her grandmother still didn't believe her, Liu Ruyan said bluntly, Grandma, if you still don't believe me, we're at the hospital right now. Go ahead and call a gynecologist in here right now. Get a gynecologist in here right now. I'll have him check right now. Let him see for himself if I'm still a virgin. Hearing her granddaughter speak with such absolute certainty, Liu Huiqin started to believe her a little more, but he was even more confused. The granddaughter isn't even in a romantic relationship with Ye Fan, so why on earth is Liu Ruyan being so protective of him? Liu Ruyan realized she couldn't keep covering for Ye Fan anymore, so she had no choice but to tell the truth. Liu Ruyan explained, Yi Fan started working at the Liu family company a year ago. I felt he had potential, so I brought him on as my personal assistant. Over time, I started to feel like he was really special, compared to all those other suitors who are so desperate for my attention. And all the quiet, constant ways he took care of me, Yi Fan just stood out as different. Plus, there are 3 generations of women in the Liu family, and we've never had any younger brothers in the entire family. I've wanted a younger brother since I was a little girl, and Ye Fan's arrival just happened to fill that void for me. Over this past year, I've become more and more dependent on Ye Fan, even to the point where I'd indulge a lot of his unreasonable requests. After hearing this, Liu Huiqin was so furious, she wanted nothing more than to slap her granddaughter across the face. Is that what you call a younger brother? What kind of brother acts like that? There's no blood relation, yet you're being this intimate. Who on earth would ever believe that story? The only person who might have was Chen Mo, that fool who was so blinded by love. But even he isn't that naive anymore. Now that he's finally woken up, it all makes sense. No wonder Chen Mo handled this whole situation so calmly. He'd simply piled up too much disappointment until it turned into pure despair. Every time he chose to trust, he was just met with even worse treatment. That's exactly why he announced the engagement was off right in front of everyone. Liu Huiqin pounded her chest in frustration and regret, wailing as she spoke. What kind of sins did our Liu ancestors commit? How could we have raised a granddaughter like you? Hearing her grandmother's harsh reprimand, Liu Ruyan felt incredibly wronged. Just then, a series of urgent knocks came at the door. Xin Hai asked from outside, "Grandma, I have an emergency I need to report to you. May I come in?" Xin Hai rushed in with a tablet and hurried over to Liu Huiqin. "Mom, the whole situation with Ruyan has blown up online. The public opinion is really turning against us now. What are we supposed to do?" Liu Huiqin couldn't stand seeing her like this, so panicked, and completely lacking any sense of resolve. She wasn't even as composed as Chen Mo, a kid in his early 20s. "What are you panicking about? Look at how pathetic you are." After being snapped at by Liu Huiqin, Xin Hai became even more timid and submissive. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan shot him a look of pure contempt from the side. Deep down, she really didn't like her own father. If the Liu family hadn't been desperate for a male heir, her mother would never have chosen a man like this to be a live-in son-in-law. When trouble hits, he's not even as calm as us women. And Xin Hai was useless in other ways too. He hadn't even managed to give the Liu family a son. After her grandmother passed away, the Liu family treated Xin Hai with even more disdain. But Xin Hai was used to it by now, and he didn't even get angry. "Mom, you should just take a look at this first." Liu Ruyan took the tablet, and she and Liu Huiqin began to scroll through it. But they didn't even get through much of it before Liu Ruyan was shaking with rage, and Liu Huiqin fainted on the spot. She had been so furious she passed out yet again. It turned out the scandal was spiraling out of control online, with public opinion completely polarized. More and more people were siding with Chen Mo because many people who knew the truth had posted everything Chen Mo had done for Liu Ruyan over the years, all over the internet. Some people even leaked the details of the dowry that the Chen family had given to the Liu family. Once the netizens saw it, they realized this was absolutely heartless. Now Liu Ruyan had no way to defend herself. Even if she claims she and Ye Fan are just siblings, who in the world is actually going to believe that? Everyone was calling for blood, dragging Liu Ruyan's name through the mud, and the Liu family was being dragged down right along with her. People online were starting to organize and protest. From now on, we're boycotting everything made by the Liu family. Once the market opens tomorrow, anyone holding Liu family stock is going to dump it as fast as they can. It's crystal clear. Tomorrow is going to be a total nightmare for the Lius. If they can't find a way to fix this mess, the Liu family is never going to recover. All these years, every bit of influence they scrounged from the Chen family and the status they worked so hard to build up is all going to come crashing down in a heartbeat. What are we going to do? Grandma, what do we do? Liu Ruyan was finally tasting the bitter fruit she'd planted herself. Her own reputation was trashed, and the whole Liu family was going down with her. Grandma, tell me what to do. You're asking me what to do. How the hell should I know? When you were making those choices back then, why didn't you stop to think this might happen? Unable to hold back her fury any longer, Grandma Liu slapped Liu Ruyan hard across the face. Liu Ruyan clutched her face, sobbing uncontrollably. Wailing in despair, she cried, "Grandma, I was wrong. I know I messed up. Tell me, is he really going to leave us for good?" "No, Grandma, I don't want to break off the engagement. I love him. I didn't betray him. I never cheated on him." Ruyan was no longer the icy goddess, that elegant beauty from above. Right now, she looked just like a discarded pet, pathetic and helpless. "You know you were wrong now. It's too late. If you're going to play these games, you should have at least known how to cover your tracks. You were so high profile about it. Did you want the whole world to know that you were keeping a man on the side? Well, are you happy now? You've ruined yourself, and you've dragged the entire Liu family to their deaths." Staring at all those comments, Liu Huiqin simply didn't believe that Liu Ruyan and Ye Fan were just siblings. No way they were just brother and sister. The old lady was in tears as well. She could already foresee it. The century-old foundation of the Liu family was about to be ruined in a single day. She hated Liu Ruyan, but she hated Chen Mo even more for blowing this whole thing out of proportion. It wasn't enough that he announced the annulment at the wedding venue. He had to go and spread rumors online, stirring up public outrage. If he knew he was being blamed for such a massive disaster, he would probably be so furious he'd cough up blood all over again. Just then, Chin Hai stepped forward. He looked at the old lady and said, "Mom, how do you think we should handle this problem right now? What else is there to handle at this point?" Chin Hai paused for a moment. After thinking it over, he said, "Mom, we need to take this in 2 steps. First, we need to deal with the public opinion online. We need to get in touch with the right people, ASAP, block the news, and bury this story for good. The second step is to go find Chen Mo right now and make him hold a press conference to take the fall for everything." Liu Ruyan and Liu Huiqin just stared at each other blankly. Both of these steps were incredibly difficult. Knowing what to do is one thing, but actually pulling it off is the real challenge, especially forcing Chen Mo to step forward and making him take the blame. What had he even done wrong in all of this? Even Liu Ruyan herself couldn't find a reason. Xin Hai laid out his plan clearly, and the 2 Liu women were left completely stunned, staring at him like statues. They never would have imagined that a useless son-in-law and a weak, incompetent father could actually come up with a plan like this. Just a moment ago, Liu Huiqin was still scolding Chin Hai, calling him panicked and lacking poise. Now she'd been slapped in the face by his brilliance. Chin Hai's 2-step plan was solid. First off, regarding the online backlash, that part was actually easy to deal with. The Liu family owns their own entertainment company. We just need to hire a few A-list celebrities and cook up some sensational headlines. That'll definitely be way more scandalous than whatever drama Liu Ruyan is caught up in. The public's attention will shift away in no time. As for Ye Fan's identity, the Liu family might as well just make it official. We'll have Liu Huiqin step up and adopt him as her grandson. If we do that, then the relationship between Liu Ruyan and Ye Fan won't be an issue anymore. And finally, the most critical part, we need Chen Mo to step up. We need him to explain to the public that he was just acting out because he was jealous. He got a little carried away and totally misunderstood the relationship between Ye Fan and Liu Ruyan, which is why he blew things out of proportion. He should take all the blame, claiming he trusts Liu Ruyan unconditionally and that he loves her deeply. Xin Hai replied, "The first 2 parts are easy enough to handle, but I'm not sure if Chen Mo will be willing to cooperate." Liu Huiqin thought for a moment, then immediately gave an order to Chin Hai. "I'm appointing you as a vice president of the Liu group, and you have full authority to handle this matter. As for Chen Mo, Ruyan and I will find a way to deal with him. You need to go out there tonight and start steering the narrative." This was exactly what Chin Hai had been waiting for. He agreed without a second thought, grabbed his tablet and headed out. The moment Chin Hai left, Liu Huiqin looked at Liu Ruyan with a serious expression and asked, "Tell me the truth. Have you or have you not been intimate with Ye Fan? Even now?" Liu Huiqin still couldn't bring herself to believe that Liu Ruyan and Ye Fan were just purely siblings. The way Liu Ruyan looked at this brother felt much more like she was looking at a lover. Liu Ruyan was devastated. She didn't expect that even the grandmother who loved her most wouldn't believe her. "Grandma, please believe me. I really haven't done anything with Ye Fan. I only see him as my younger brother. If you don't believe me, then I swear on my mother's memorial tablet." The moment her mother was mentioned, Liu Huiqin's expression shifted instantly. Her eyes darted away, clearly uncomfortable. "Fine then, but just to be safe, you should go get an examination. Take the proof and go explain everything to Chen Mo." An examination? What kind of proof? Liu Ruyan didn't understand. What was Grandma talking about? It wasn't until Liu Huiqin's gaze dropped to her stomach that it finally clicked. Grandma was talking about a virginity test. 1 hour later, Liu Ruyan was blushing fiercely. She headed toward the old Chen family estate, clutching the report. "She had called you countless times on the way, but you didn't pick up a single one." Liu Ruyan wasn't sure if you were still angry, or if you were just asleep. Right as Liu Ruyan was on her way to the Chen house, you finally woke up. You had fainted on the floor earlier, after coughing up blood from the sheer heartbreak. That spray of heart's blood was your final tribute to the past. A final goodbye to Liu Ruyan. "I finally ripped you out of my heart. After coughing up that blood, you felt like a weight had been lifted. Along with that blood, your love for her seemed to have been purged too. The shadow that had been haunting your heart for so long had finally vanished. You looked around at the pristine wedding chamber. You murmured to yourself, 'It's time to say goodbye to the past.' You pulled a bottle of red wine from the cabinet. You drank straight from the bottle. After taking a massive gulp, you smashed the bottle against the wedding portrait. The glass shattered everywhere. The wedding photo was ruined. Then you cracked open another bottle. You took a few more drinks and headed into the bedroom. You pulled down her wedding dress. You doused the dress in wine. You pulled out a lighter and set it on fire. This dress with its exquisite craftsmanship that took 6 months to create. That wedding dress encrusted with countless priceless jewels was set ablaze right there. Just think, back when you wanted to give Liu Ruyan that grand wedding, you even flew to Europe yourself. having it custom made by a royal master designer. But now this dress is of no use anymore. You grabbed the photo frame of the two of you as well and tossed it into the flames to burn along with it. The blinding light of the fire quickly drew the Chen family bodyguards to the doorway. Not daring to step inside, they shouted from the door, "Young master, are you all right? Do you need us to come in?" "Pack up all my things," you ordered, "and then tear this place to the ground." You loathed this bridal suite. In your past life, it was here that Liu Ruyan severely wounded you, leaving you in a vegetative state. And as for this place, it ultimately became the spot where Ye Fan and Liu Ruyan would carry on their affair. You didn't pay them any more mind. Clutching a wine bottle, you walked away while drinking. You soon left the place behind bottle in hand. You had no idea where you were going. Even though you owned property all over the city, not a single place felt like home. The bridal suite was where Liu Ruyan had cheated, and the old Chen estate was where Shen Yuchu had been dragged away. Every time you stepped back into those places, all those memories came flooding back, torturing you until you wished you were dead. You walked the streets all alone, like a wandering ghost, lonely and dejected. Utterly desolate, you were like a stray dog with nowhere to go, drifting aimlessly down the road. It wasn't until the early hours of the morning that your legs finally gave out. Coincidentally, there was a 5-star hotel right by the side of the road. You stumbled toward the hotel, shaking your head, and booked yourself the presidential suite. Once you had the key card, you stepped into the elevator all by yourself. The presidential suite was on the top floor, the 66th floor. The elevator came to a stop on the 50-something floor. Suddenly, a woman in disarray burst inside. She was stumbling, clearly struggling to keep her balance. The moment she got in, she frantically slammed the door shut. It looked like she was being chased by something absolutely terrifying. She was running for her life. You squinted, taking a good look at her. She looked quite young, probably just a fresh college graduate. She was tall and slender, wearing a tight, milky white dress that hugged every curve of her perfect figure. Honestly, this woman was a rare beauty, the kind you hardly ever see in real life. Even compared to Liu Ruyan, she was easily in the same league. You only glanced at her for a second before looking away. You were hammered and feeling pretty miserable yourself, just desperate to crash into bed. But the woman who'd just stumbled in seemed even more intoxicated than you were. She was swaying on her feet, barely able to stand. Her skin, white as jade, couldn't even get a grip on the handrail. She tipped over and fell right into you. Your instincts kicked in and you reached out to catch her. The moment you made contact, it felt like you were holding a piece of fine, smooth jade. Her skin was so delicate, smooth and glowing. Your heart skipped a beat, trembling as she collapsed into your arms. She started mumbling, "Save me. Please, you have to save me." You realized something was definitely off. Her body temperature was incredibly high. On her snow-white skin, strange, abnormal red blotches were beginning to appear. Before you could even process what was happening, the woman in your arms tilted her head back and kissed you. She wrapped her arms tightly around your neck, pulling you down with desperate force. You tried your absolute best to keep her under control. As soon as the elevator reached your floor, you hurried out carrying her toward your room. The moment you got inside, the woman in your arms grew even more frantic and impatient. "He is tearing frantically at his clothes and yours, miss. Miss, don't say a word. Kiss me. Your mouth is silenced by a kiss." You look at the peerless beauty right in front of you. You were already feeling tipsy from the alcohol. How could you possibly resist such a temptation? You close your eyes, completely lost in the moment. While you are getting intimate in the hotel, burning with passion, Liu Ruyan is being shut out at the old Chen family estate. But after her desperate begging and pleading, Uncle Lee the butler finally tells her that you have gone back to the bridal suite. Once Liu Ruyan finds out, she rushes off to the bridal suite without a moment's rest. "Chen Mo must still have feelings for me. He must be waiting for me in the bridal suite." Liu Ruyan feels incredibly excited this time, and she feels a lot more at ease. But when Liu Ruyan finally arrives at the suite, there is no sign of you anywhere. The entire room is filled with nothing but a few bodyguards. They are swinging baseball bats, smashing every single decoration in sight. Liu Ruyan is so furious she feels like she might. "Stop it right now," I shouted at the top of my lungs. "What do you think you're doing? Who gave you permission to smash this place up? Get out of here right now." Those bodyguards knew exactly who Liu Ruyan was. She had almost become the lady of this house after all. One of them spoke up. "The young master ordered us to do it." They were caught in the middle, having no idea whose orders to follow. If you and Liu Ruyan ended up getting back together in the end, would they be the ones to pay the price? "It's too hard to deal with you people. Don't make me say it a second time. Get out now." Seeing how serious she was, the bodyguards had no choice but to drop their clubs and head for the door. After the bodyguards left, he slumped down onto the floor. This time, he finally understood that you meant it. You weren't just throwing a tantrum. You were actually truly breaking up with him. "Why the silence? Why won't you even give me a chance to explain?" Liu Ruyan sat there on the rug, consumed by her pain. Soon he spotted the pool of blood on the carpet. That bright, fresh crimson spray across the pristine white rug. It was absolutely jarring. He vomited blood. Chenmo actually vomited blood. What have I done? How could I have pushed him to this point? Liu Ruyan collapsed onto the floor completely at a loss, sobbing in pure agony. At this moment, she looked just like a withered leaf being mercilessly swept away by an autumn wind. Heartbreakingly beautiful, yet utterly powerless. Her eyes were filled with nothing but despair and hollow grief. Back in that luxurious bed in the presidential suite, you and that strange woman were still tangled together, lost in a fever of unbridled passion. An hour later, the effects of the drug finally wore off completely. Her entire body collapsed limp on the bed, and you too were finally spent. In the morning light, he was the first to wake. He looked just like a blooming white lotus, pure and dazzling. He seemed even more sacred and noble. That subtle hint of crimson was like the blush on a shy girl's face, adding a touch of delicate allure. It was as if it were proof that she had transformed from a girl into a woman. Liu Mengyao took in the scene before her, stunned for a moment. Only then did she realize she was lying on a strange bed, and there was a man she didn't know lying right there with her. Her instinct was to scream, but she immediately clamped a hand over her mouth. She was terrified of waking him up and being defiled all over again. As it turns out, Liu Mengyao is a senior at the Magic City Theater Academy, about to graduate. Even before graduation, she had already signed with Hongyi Film and Television to make her debut. Yesterday, at the invitation of her upperclassman, Zhang Jie, she had come to Hangzhou for a performance. After the show ended, Zhang Jie brought him out to meet with a few investors. Before they even arrived, Zhang Jie had already hinted that he needed to be a little more open tonight. A little sacrifice, he'd called it. Little did he know, being open meant selling his own body, using himself to please the big-time investors. Naturally, he refused and tried to walk out right then and there. But Zhang Jie wasn't about to let that happen. In the end, Zhang Jie backed off just a little, telling him he could leave after just one drink. He thought that one drink would be the end of it, but he had no idea it was actually the start of his nightmare. That drink had been drugged. Before long, his mind grew hazy and he lost all control. He was dragged to a suite left there for the investor to claim. Thankfully, he had a strong will. When the investor finally walked in, he ended up throwing up all over the guy. While the guy went to clean up in the bathroom, he finally found his chance to bolt out of the room. But as luck would have it, everything ended up falling into Liu Mengyao's lap instead. Looking at the person fast asleep in the bed, the memories of last night started to slowly drift back. Liu Mengyao finally realized that she was the one who had made the first move. Recalling that absolutely wild night, Liu Mengyao blushed, thinking, "What am I supposed to do now?" While she was caught in a panic, she stole another glance at you and realized the man who had taken her body was actually quite handsome. Liu Mengyao fixed her gaze on your face and whispered softly, "At least it was you." "Forget it, it's your lucky day." "If it had been that old guy, I think I would have rather died." Liu Mengyao stepped out of bed barefoot. Her skin white and delicate made her look like a goddess from Greek mythology. She walked with light, airy steps, carefully picking up her torn clothes from the floor and throwing them on in a messy rush, but they still couldn't hide her curves. With no other choice, she had to put on your jacket to cover herself up. She muttered to herself, "I actually slept with him, and I'm even walking off with his clothes. Isn't that a little bit wrong of me?" Liu Mengyao hesitated for a moment. She took the necklace off her neck and placed it on the nightstand. She also left a note behind. In the end, he gave a bitter laugh and muttered, "Does this count as hiring a sex worker?" Liu Mengyao covered her face, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. She wrapped herself tightly in your jacket. Then she headed toward the exit. But just as she reached the door, she paused and stopped in her tracks. She turned back with grace. She shot a look of lingering resentment at you who were sleeping like a log. It was as if she wanted to carve your face deeply into her heart. A moment later, she didn't hesitate. She opened the door and left. You didn't wake up from that sleep until the sun was high in the sky. By the time you finally came to, there was no trace of Liu Mengyao left. That's when you realized she had already slipped away. You looked over at the nightstand. You saw the necklace and the piece of paper she had left behind. It read, "A fleeting affair. Don't look for me, don't think of me. I'm keeping the jacket. Consider the necklace compensation." You held the necklace in your palm and brought it to your nose. You took a gentle sniff, sensing the scent that belonged uniquely to her. Finally, you caught sight of the red blood stain on the bed sheets from the night before. A meaningful look crossed your eyes. You think you can just run away after sleeping with me? Dream on. You pulled out your phone and called your bodyguard Liu Hao. "That woman who got into my room last night? I want her entire file within the hour. Also bring me a change of clothes." You hung up the phone before Liu Hao could even answer. Then you headed to the bathroom to shower. On the other end of the line, Liu Hao was scared half to death. "What, someone broke into the young master's room last night? Hurry, check the security footage. Find out exactly who managed to get into the young master's room." Just as you finished freshening up, your bodyguard appeared at the door with a set of fresh clothes and a file folder. The bodyguard stands at the door. "So what did you find out?" "You didn't bother to check the files. You ask while putting on your clothes." Your bodyguard Liu Hao speaks up, "Young master, we've looked into it. The woman who went into your room last night, her name is Liu Mengyao. She's still a university student. She attends the prestigious Magic City Conservatory of Theater. She was hired to perform at the Hang Cheng event yesterday. After the show, she attended a banquet and was drugged. Where is she now? She took the early high-speed train out. She's already back in the Magic City. You ask who invited her. We found out his name is Zhang Jie. He also graduated from that drama school. He's Liu Mengyao's upperclassman. So you're saying he's the one who drugged her? Liu Hao confirms most likely. Even if it wasn't him directly, he's definitely an accomplice. He was the one setting everything up. You let out a cold scoff, your face filled with a murderous intent. Setting it up. Let's be real, he's nothing but a pimp. Who is he planning to send her to? Liu Hao says awkwardly. You actually know this person, sir. You two have a pretty close relationship. You had just put on your jacket. Hearing Liu Hao say you actually knew the guy, you look completely caught off guard. What, I know him? Go ahead, tell me who it is. I want to know which piece of trash I'm supposedly acquainted with. Liu Hao glances at you awkwardly. He stammers, It's Master Qin III. Who is Master Qin III? For a moment you couldn't quite place who he was. You couldn't quite place who he was at that moment.